Good evening. My name is Wahid Lutfi. I'm going to be showing you how to do Python class and objects, which is object-oriented programming with Python programming language. In this session, I'm going to be covering class and objects. So let me just get started with this slideshow first, and then we will be discussing the rest of them. So on this one, as you can see that I already covered class and object with a couple of videos. The first video was covering basically Python cars examples of a class called cars. And then the object were C1 and C2. We went through that one, so please watch that video. And if you have any question, please make a note on the comment section. And then the second part, we also covered Python programming languages with already system-defined classes and objects. For example, we covered a list and then a string, then floating point, integer, Boolean expression. A lot of those ones are already part of the classes. So we did discuss class and objects with this one. And please watch that video for details. Tonight, I'm going to cover this class called players, which is a user-defined class. It is not part of the system. So when you install a Python and you start Python, you will not have a class called players. It is a user-defined, which you write it yourself. That's why it's called user-defined. And then once you create the class, you instantiate it with the init method. And then the init method is like a constructor, if you are familiar with C, C++, and Java. Instantiating an object with this and double underscore init, which is a special method in Python. We are going to discuss that one, and then we are creating player 1 through player 5 or player 6, as many as other objects that are there, you're going to create it. As you can see in this example on the pictures, I'm showing at least 5 of the greatest of all time. Some people call it GOAT, which is stand for greatest of all time. And then some people, they say it should be 1. I would say it's more than 10. For me, it's at least these 5 plus Ronaldinho from Brazil, Ronaldo from Brazil, Beckenbauer from Germany, John Cruyff from Netherlands, Eusebio from Portugal. There's a lot of these players. Zico from Brazil. There's a lot of them. Hagi from Romania. And then Stoichkov from Bulgaria, we call it. There's a lot of great players that were playing all this time. Neymar from Brazil. We can just go on and on. And I'm sure there's a lot of favorite stars that you like, that you could go with the order that you want. I usually don't have an order for the president because each one of these ones, as we see through the attributes are, first name, last name, country, age, height, weight, whatever attribute the object has. In this case, an object is a person. A person is a soccer player. And then the class that represent is called players. And as you can see, players is the name of the class, but each class does, as we instantiated with P1 being players class of Messi, and then last name is Lionel, and then from Argentina. These attributes that we are doing, it is just unlimited number of attributes, because you can have the name, the age, the height, the width, the technique, the skills that they have, all of those ones. Skills normally goes as a functionality in terms of behavior, what the object can do. And we call it an object-oriented programming instead of a function, which is a function programming. In function programming, you call it functional or function that a person does. But then an object-oriented methodology is called method. What is the function's behavior, or the a method or equivalent to a function. So also on functional programming, we have other attributes or called like variables. And then a function is a function, and then object-oriented programming, a function is a method. And then in object-oriented programming, we have RMI, which is remote method invocation. And functional programming is RPC, remote procedure calls. So procedure and function is on functional programming, and method is an object-oriented programming. So when you're calling a procedure or function in functional programming, it's called RPC, which is stand for remote procedure calls. On a remote server, you call a function to do something. But in object-oriented programming, when Java originally initiated, they come up with these terminologies of, instead of RPC, they call it RMI. So R for remote, and then P for procedure, and then function was function programming. In this case, is object-oriented, RMI, remote method invocation. And instead of call, you say invoke. So the terminology of remote is still a remote, function has become method, and then call becomes invoke. That's how you translate it. But a lot of the things that is like object, what you can do with the object, those attributes that are associated with it, and the methods, and the what functionality or method that can be applied with certain string. For example, with dribbling skill like Messi and Diego Maradona, and also Pele, the skills that they, because they were a little bit, not, Pele was not short, but because they're short in comparison to Zidane and Ronaldo, they were shorter. So if you look at it, they are shorter in gravity, and when they are just rolling around the people, they could easily move it. And they had a lot of skill with that kind of height as well. So how they juggle or control the ball is amazing. And they have a lot of skills, honestly. And then we have to give them all credit. There's not these five that we just always call it GOAT or greatest of all time. There's a lot more. Ronaldinho is another one. And then the Brazilian Ronaldo, the forward, he did amazing things at the time. There's a lot of them. Neymar, unfortunately, got injured in every World Cup. So he could not just contribute as much with injuries as he did with not being injured. But still, he's a great player. There's a lot of great players. Eusebio at the time, God bless him, passed away. John Cruyff passed away. He was a great player at the time. Beckenbauer is still alive. That's good news. And then God bless them all, and I hope they all succeed with whatever they do. They are very, very kind of inspiring to watch on the World Cup, and as well as for their countries, how they fight and how they are playing with passion. So let's just get started back to this example. I'm going to show you more details. So let's go back to the Jupyter notebook. In this case, I'm already logged on, and I'm already on the colab.research.google secure page, as you can see here. And I already posted this information here to show you some examples. So it's Python class and objects. In this case, I'm creating a class called players on line 1. Class players, basically, you can just remove the double the left parenthesis and right parenthesis, or write it, leave it, it is okay. And either way, like in C++, another programming language, sometimes you say int main, and then the main can have this. Sometimes you could pass on argc and argv. Here, same thing. So in this one, I could just leave it like it is. As a computer science programmer, I usually leave these ones as this rather than this. But either case, it's okay. So let's just have it like this, because I have it like that. And then the class name is always start with uppercase characters. And if you have two names, you do plus underscore something, whatever that string is in that case. And then this one is a constructor or initialization. This is the double underscore method, and it's called the init method, which is a initialization method. And as you can see, the init method has those self at pillars, first name and last name, and return none. So basically, in this case, it is assigning the self is just something that is pointing to the object itself. So Python automatically gave us that information. We don't have to say self.self is equal self. But these other attributes that as you create them, you just say self dot first name, for example, is equal first name, and self dot last name is equal last name. But because you're reading the first name and last name from the constructor itself, then you're just assigning that to an email address with this assignment statement, which is first name plus a dot and last name, and then at company address. So whatever, if the first name is Wahid, the last name is Lutfi, is wahid.lutfi at company.com. And this company.com, in the case of pillars, could be FIFA.com or whatever word that is associated with all of these ones, or just as we assign the email address that with setter and getter methods of the class pillars, then we could just do that one. It is not a problem. You can assign it to some other name here. And notice that as I'm going through the pillars, so here I'm instantiating a pillar called P1. P1, it takes the pillars 1 here as a constructor. So pillars 1 is just the first name and last name is passed on as argument here. And then P1 will now have the pillars Messi, Lionel last name. And similarly, if I want to print this one, let's just print the first pillar. And also the orders this time is not important. Don't think that, okay, because I put player 1 as Messi, Messi must be the greatest of all time, or player 2 as Maradona might be the second player. No, it's not. At some point, you have to choose somebody's as the name that it comes in. Good thing is for Messi, and there was always time for he that outperformed everything else except the World Cup. And then this time he won the World Cup for Argentina against France on the final. And he scored 2 goals, one with penalty, one on the field. And the penalty kicks, they also won against France. And Messi scored 3 of them. So Mbappe was another great star player from France that he scored 4 goals in that game. Unfortunately, they didn't win the World Cup for France, and good for Argentina that they won the World Cup. But Mbappe got the Golden Boots award, and Messi got the Golden Ball award, and a lot of other players got the goal of Argentina because he saved a lot of good penalty shots. He got the Golden Gloves, and one of the youngest player on Argentina got the best award as well. So the fact that somebody got the World Cup award or somebody didn't does not make any difference in terms of how you identify them as the best star. So, and the order, like I said here, is not Porden, please don't quote me on the order here. And so the first player, when we printed, you can see here, it prints Messi, last name Lionel, and then the email address is messi.lionel@company.com, as we did it. And similarly, now if we create a Maradona, God bless him, he passed away 2 years ago in November 25, I believe it was. God bless him. He was the greatest superstar of all time. That for me, that he in 1986 he won the World Cup, and he played soccer with passion all the time. So with his passion, once you watch the game of soccer when Maradona was on the field, you would fall in love with the soccer game, and you would just go play yourself. That's how much passion he had on the game. He would basically tell the ball to do something, and the ball obey him. He had such a great control with the ball. Similarly, Ronaldinho and Messi and Ronaldo and Pele and everyone else, but Maradona and Ronaldinho are amazing with ball controls. So here, let's go to player 2. We just printed, and then now we instantiated pillar 3, but we haven't printed pillar 3. So if I print pillar 3, you can see that Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, who has amazing headers and great, footwork, as well as speed, as well as height, as well as better vision, and both the shooting skills from long distance, and power kicks, as well as free kicks, as well as left and right power shooting. He can kick with score with both feet, disregard to what distance he is at. And he has a great character as well. A lot of these pillars are very great characters, and Cristiano Ronaldo is one of those pillars that you could, and Messi too, and Pele, a lot of them. And then, and the same thing, Zidane, and who else is Diego Maradona, all of them. So let's go through this print pillar 4. Pillar 4 is Edson Pele, and you can see that Pele he won 3 World Cup when he was playing. That's why he had 3 trophies with him. And as you can see, the characteristic of these ones in terms of medal awards, so like this one has 3 of them, while everyone else won 1, and then Cristiano Ronaldo won the European Cup there back in 2016, I believe it was, against France. But some of these players, like player 5, Zidane won it for France, and then 1998, I think it was, he won it for France, and he scored 2 goals in the final against Brazil, with both of them as header. Was very awesome goals, and he played really great on the final against the following World Cup. They played against Italy. Unfortunately, something was kind of not fair that happened in the game, and then on the final, he scored a good penalty kicks, but against Mastrozzi, he had to headbutt him, which was wrong for Zidane to do that one, but the guy was cursing him, and then he just felt wrong, and at that time emotion kicked in, and somehow he reacted badly. But other than that, he is the greatest player of all time, and at that time he could have won 2 World Cup for France, and he was amazing. Cristiano Ronaldo has been playing for Portugal, and then Manchester United and other clubs, and Real Madrid was a big time for him, and Manchester United, as well as Juventus. Messi obviously is amazing with his ball control, his finishing, his character, and when he gets the ball, and you know that something is happening, something big is happening. Either make a great assist, or he's going to finish it himself. And he can go with the ball against 5 or 6 pillars, and he's going to come out with the ball, do something. So these are the characteristic or behavior that one has, the other one doesn't, or the other one has similar, that is changing. So those are the methods that like the technique and tactique, the skill, ball control, dribbling, everything that they have as attributes, but now how they behave it on the field is the technique and tactique that is used to build that on the top of that skills. So, and they are amazing because of those ball controls and everything else that they have been practicing all the time with great team. Like Barcelona was Messi's favorite team. Now he's with PSG, but he grew up in Barcelona and made Barcelona with Xavi and Iniesta and great other players, and David Villa, and there's a lot of great players. Puyol, one was there. Alves, Daniel Alves, defenders. There were a lot of great players. Casillas as a goal. Casillas was actually goalie of Real Madrid, but Real Madrid also had great, amazing players. So let's go back to here on player 5. We printed out Zidane. And then at this time, I'm going to say, let's get the type of player 5. If we get the type of it, then you can see it's a tuple. Because this one is, as you can see, is between left parentheses and right parentheses. It's a tuple of 3 arguments. So if I want to just print those tuple, you can see that for using a for statement, I can do print the tuple, and then the first field is Zinedine, which is the last name, and then the first name is Zidane, and then the email address. Similarly, if I change this one to print player 1, then you can see here Messi, Lionel, and then this. And player 2 would be just Diego. You just want to make sure that Diego Maradona and the email address are accurate. Otherwise, this constructors that you assign it, somehow you might have had a type or something. You can just validate it through this as well as through this to make sure that you're pointing to the right one. So you see Ronaldo is player number 3, and 4 should be Pelé. And it does print Pelé. And then as you can see, the last name of Edison Pelé is really long. So if you just don't put this one in and put a space, notice whatever is the last 2 field here, get assigned as email address. This one, the space is not recognized. So in order for Python to understand it, you can either just say, well, this portion is the part of the email address, this portion is not, or put it into a list and then get the indices of that list or the element to assign it. You can do multiple ways to do it. To create a dictionary with the name, the key would be the player, the email address would be the value, and so on. You can do a lot of ways. You could do tuple, like here it is there. So the data structure, we talked about tuple, list, data dictionary, and now we're talking about class that is binding all those concepts together. We're covering a lot of stuff here. So now let's go player 5 here, the last one, and then we just want to print player 5, Zinedine Zidane, which we already had it, and then this is the email address. So this example, I covered what I needed to cover. Let me recap it. Basically, this is the class name that start with uppercase P, players. If it is employee, you say employee, and then E is uppercase. If it is cars, it's C uppercase, and so on. And then this is the instantiation method, which is a constructor, we call it. These are the attributes of the instance, because an instance has P1 is the first name, last name. That's why these are attributes of the instance. And self is just the self, that object that is pointing to itself. So if we are talking about P1, self is P1. If we're talking about P2, the object P2 is self. That's what it means, self. It is pointing to that object at itself at that moment. instance of the class. Instance and object are two interchangeable words that you can use. And then here we are doing instantiation for player P1. Here we are printing it. And then on line 13, P2 is instantiated. On line 15, P3 is getting instantiated. On line 17, P4 is getting instantiated. On line 19, P5 instance or P5 object gets instantiated as a player class. So the class name is players, and these are attributes of P5, and then P5 gets instantiated as Zedan, Zenadine Zedan, first name and last name. The email automatically gets populated from this data that we are reading. Okay, and then later on when we are using the for statement basically to print out each element of the tuple separately. I hope you understand this one. And then also I'm going to have a PDF documentation of these classes maybe posted there as well. So these are the demos that I already covered. Tonight I'm covering demo number 6, which is this one that we just talked. So demo number 6 we talk, and now I'm going to cover demo number 5. Demo number 5 is a little bit long, and I'm writing as a module. So I'm going to show you that one on both Jupyter Notebook as well as in Windows Python interpreter. So let's just delete these lines here, all of it. And then I'm going to clean it up here. Since I just already have prepared for you this Python program called players.py, I'm going to basically edit, select all, and then I'm going to say copy, and then I'm going to paste this one because a lot of it, and I'm going to save you time for typing these ones, because it doesn't make sense for me to type these ones of this many lines and then at the same time 88 lines and then just you wait for it until I finish and then I have more typos to do it. So in order to do it, I'm going to just explain what I'm doing here. So basically line 1 through line 35. As you can see, this triple double quote or triple single quote, whether you use it or triple double quote. If you use with a double quote, triple of them, you have to finish it with on line 35 with triple and double quote. If you use triple single quote, you could do it. This is called the doc string. So the doc string is documentation that if somebody wants to know what does this module do, in this case, the module name is players.py, that you can save it in your Windows or Linux machine or Mac machine as players.py and then run it. The class name is, in this case, I'm just basically here defining what a class is. So it is good for you to know, for example, if you want to know a program to demo object-oriented concept, terminology used here or these. For example, class. A class, you can see in Python, the keyword class is used to create a user-defined data structure that binds the data members and method into a single unit. This single unit, which is the class name, is a blueprint or code template for the object creation. So the class name, in this case, players, is a blueprint for all the object that we're creating here. And then all these objects names here, I'm defining as P1 through P6 are objects. And then the class name is pillars. And it gets instantiated like this with this define function, double underscore special method init. And then the instance method or name, you just name them like that. And then who wrote it? I wrote it myself. Wahid Lutfi, written by Wahid Lutfi, and copyright myubuniversity.com. My YouTube channel, which you should be visiting and subscribe and like these videos and post, make comments so I can make improvement that helps you better. is youtube.com at my web university. Actually, it's not at mywebuniversity.com, it's at my web university. That's the handle. So I just saw a typo, which I'm going to correct it here as well. And this is not .com. So this is good. And then on the Word document here, I'm also correcting that one here, .com here, and then save it. Notice that when you do this one, you're going to just make multiple changes here. So I'm going to export it as PDF file and then override the other PDF file and just say, yes, go ahead, override it, that one, and then say yes. Now the PDF file that I have open already here, I'm going to close this one and just open it again from here and double click on this one. It will open it. And then the word on that one is changed with every place that I had there. So let's double check it to make sure that on the PDF file got fixed also. And right there at company.com, somewhere before that one, Python instance object. Yeah, I think it is below that one. Yeah, mywebuniversity.com. Somehow this .com is still there. Let me just correct that one to make sure that on the PDF file here, .com. Oh, this one .com, I just updated incorrectly here. This one is at the company.com, but the one that I'm modifying is this one, mywebuniversity.com. So save this one and then export it as PDF and then say yes, override it, yes. And then also on the Word document, the actual script, on the actual script, I did it correctly. So now I have done the PDF file. I just opened that PDF file again and here, and then that should be on, and that field is okay. This other one that is inaccurate, I'm going to close that one and go back to that one, and you can see, let's see if refresh this one. Is that the right one or not? Copyright my web university. Yeah, my web university handle is correct. So that one is corrected. And then let's go back here. The website is www.mywebuniversity.com. That one is okay. That's my website. But my web university handle at my web university is that YouTube channel. So that's the different things. Whether you type in www or not, that's not a crucial thing. Usually DNS resolves that. So here I'm going to just show you the pillars. And then on this example, if I just run it, to just show you some of the information. And before I just go through each one of them, say that this is how we instantiate it. First, look at the pillars the same way that we did it in the previous example. That pillars class is the same way defined with these initialization or a special method called dunder method, double underscore, init method, self and first name and last name or attribute of the instance, and first name and last name gets assigned based on the user's information that is put. And then here the email is also read. So def online for the two, I'm defining player information so I can print the information for the first name, last name, email address if I want to print it. And then return this method is an instance of the class P1, P2, the object P1, P2, P3 through P6 or Pn, as many players that you want to assign. And then the get full name is the getter, and also the setter. Those are called getter method or setter method. In this case, we're setting the first name, last name, which is set the full name. So based on the self, the first name and last name is already from the init method. It is already an instance of these or kind of attribute of the class. So it is already there, or you don't need to put self comma first name here because it's already defined on the initialization. It reads it from there. And get email is similarly, the email address is self.email, returns that one. And then set full name is the set to set the full name. So based on the first name and last name we provide, it sets a full name of the user or the player in this case. Set email, it just sets the email based on the first name and last name with a dot operator and difference. And then this plus is a concatenation. This is also example of function overloading, which is the operator overloading actually. Operator, you're just using the operator to do concatenation between number of strings and concatenate together as one email address. So here we're just defining all the pillars that like we did in the previous example. The only difference between this example and the previous example, we're using the getter and setter. So these get full name and get email address are called the getter methods, and that are methods that we are just getting the information based on the attribute that we specified on the getter method. And then the setter method, or the setting the attribute of a player or an object based on the value that the variable that we passed on, or the attribute that we passed on of the instance or the object. Instance and object, the same thing. So here, as you can see, it is those values are passed on, player 5 and player 6. But notice that on each of these examples, if I go back on these other examples of printing, the printing we already printed last time, which are all these values of 5 of these players with first name, last name, because we instantiated player 1 through P6, and then we are just printing them. But notice P6 is later on instantiated with Ronaldo and then last name, and then also get the player P6 full name and then 6. So now we instantiated this one. Player 6 was just created afterward. Player 5 and other ones were done, and then we never printed player 6 like that. So we can just say, let's print player 6 here and say player 6. And then the object in this case is 6, but player info is already a method that is defined here, player info. Then we are just going to reuse that one. In object-oriented programming, when you write a method, you write it once and then you reuse it over and over and over with every object that you feel like. If you have 1,000 objects, you can reuse that function or that method over and over. So now player 6, I just say, go ahead, print player 6 on this line here, on line 80, and player 6 is written here. You can see that the object is printed here. And then again, on player 6, when I print it, then I just say, let's get player 6 full name, email address, and then look at the player 6 full name and email address is given. And right here, first name and email address. So on line 82 and 86, the first name and last name, which is full name, line 82 is printed, and then line 83, the get email address is printed for player 6, which in this case was Ronaldo. Now we're updating player 6 to Ronaldinho. So once we change Ronaldo to Ronaldinho, and then you can see player 6 dot set full name we're setting it to Ronaldo with the last name, and then set email with the email address for username and password. And then this set email address is inaccurate because this is still the email address of Ronaldo. So we need to set the email address of this one with the email address set to Ronaldino, and then the last name is right here. I'm going to change the last name of the argument that we pass into got you. I hope I did not read it inaccurate. Got you. Got you. So let's see if that is going to update it. And it does update it right here. The Ronaldo got updated. So here we could just say updated pillars. And then right here we could just say print after updated pillar 6, P6. So just to note that one, we can just print this one. And then right here, we say after we update it. Well, first, before update of pillar P6, if we print this one on P6 right here, we say just before, we can see that pillar before updating pillars P6. Then you can see before update was Ronaldo. As you can see, this is that, and then after update is Ronaldinho. So you can do this one. The nice thing about object-oriented programming, you can reuse a method called reusability, and then you can do it with as many objects as you want. You don't have to do the hard way of just for each person you have to make a typo. If you're doing with 1,000, you could just obviously having that many attributes and maybe defining in a data structure like a list or other one, it's tough to just find out which element or which indices had the first name or which indices had the scale and this and that. So there's indefinitely method. But here, all you are doing is that if you're just adding a skill on the constructor itself, you just come in and update the constructor with the example of the country. So you can do that one. And then I believe I had an example of that one also for the country, but I'm not gonna go through all of these examples. You know what I'm talking about. You can just add one a class, like a field that you want to do here. As an example, if you want to just say def this one and then say a constructor, say country, then all you have to do is say here self.country is equal and then country. And then on each of these ones, and then when you're doing it, you could say, for example, Argentina for Messi, and then Diego Maradona is also Argentina, Argentina, and then Cristiano Ronaldo is Portugal. You have to put it Portugal, and then that is Pelé is Brazil. You have to put it in quotes in the strings. So Brazil, and then the next one is Zidane is France. So you can say France, and then now this one is going to just do those ones, and then notice that when we do this, the plural instantiation is still going to work, but notice it gave us an error with the self there. But let's see what is the field that is complaining. So the plural info is not understanding the fields here. So this one is a country, and here I just mistyped the country here. So that is okay. And then self is mistyped here, self. And then you just have to make sure you don't have typos. And then here at this time, if I just run it, let's see if this one, it still complains about some other method. So when it is doing this one, the method is country, is pillars, and then P6, and then line 79. So line 79, if we go through this one, P6, we didn't say which country is pillar 6 because the constructor is taking 3 arguments now. So this one is also Ronaldo is from Brazil. And then we just do that one. And Ronaldo is there. And P6. And then let's see if now it is working fine. Yeah, it does. So at this time, if we just want to print the pillar 6 method, then that means that on this full name, when we are doing this one, we could also say print, for example, self.country. So this one will just print self.country, get full name, and then also for the players info, we could just say self.country. And that one, those attributes has to be defined here. The email, it doesn't have to set full name. We just say self.country also, just to make it the same. Let's see, self dot. So this one actually is self dot country. Yeah, so sorry, the name on this one, we just say comma country. And then here also comma country for the email address. We don't need the email address, the country, but full name should have the full name. I don't think so. Full name, I'm not gonna give the country. It doesn't have to associate that one. Get full name is also doesn't need to have it. And then pillar information could have it. So that is only the pillar information we could just, when we print the information, because we printed, now it has the pillar information with the country name Argentina for Messi and Maradona, and Portugal for Ronaldo, Brazil for Pelé, and France for Zidane, and also Ronaldinho, Brazil. So that's how you could add an attribute, how easy it was. You just go there and add an attribute and you're done with it. Okay, so this was a good example, but we used it PyCharm, and I on Notebook, not PyCharm, we used Jupyter Notebook on Colab.research, which is not showing these information here in detail. So if you are on Jupyter Notebook and you say print pillars dot and double underscore doc, then you're going to try to print this one at the end of it. The doc is not, it just says none here. And if you just say dir of this, dir of pillars and this pillars, and then you could see that it is just showing you for dir of pillars. It's not, I just missed the right parenthesis. So there are pillars. It's going to give you all these methods that you can just do. One of them was double underscore init that we did, and they're instantiated. But on this one versus the other one, so docs and other ones were not showing. In order to show you that one, I'm going to open a command prompt on Windows, and then I'm going to just say CMD here. And as you can see, I'm on a Windows operating system here. Let me just minimize these other windows here. And then I'm going to maximize this one. Now you can see if I do cd slash and then cd to demo directory, clear my screen, clear screen, and then do a directory. This one is a list of files that I have. So I'm going to do clear screen directory store.py. and then notice that plurs.py is there. So if I clear screen and say dir plurs.py, you can see that it's there. If I want to see the content of that one, I could say plurs.py, pipe more, and it will display the entire Python program. As you can see, it is there. As well as I have it on notebook here that is there. I'm not gonna just rely on the notebook in this case, but you can do when you have a program called plurs.py, you can run it using Python 3 and then examples plurs.py. This will just take an argument as the file plurs.py, the class, and it will run and it will give you the output as we did all those printout and that we did on the PyCharm on the bottom here. So this information, if I just take this line out and then just say run this one, this is exactly the same as the output of that command prompt that we did here. So on this example, and this time I'm going to just show you a little bit more than that. So let me clear the screen. I'm gonna go to the Python 3 version, say what version I have. So on this Windows operating system, I have a version 3.10.5. I'm gonna just type in Python 3 just to go in there, and it is gonna open up 3.10.5. At this time, if I do a dir objects to see what are the objects or the double underscore method and the doc and string and everything that is there defined, then I can just get a list of them and there. There's a lot of like the built-in functions. It has a lot of information. So if you need to like print help on the built-in double underscore built-ins double underscore, this one in Python, if you do that one, that's a lot. So everything that is objects and base class exceptions and all the exception handlers and then the keywords, the list, data dictionaries, the string, tuples, classes, everything. You can just find out methods and other ones and read documentation here. But this time I just wanted to show you, and this one I'm gonna exit out here, clear my screen, and I'm gonna get back in here, and then I do dir this time. And notice that there's no method called pillars. In order for me to import my module called pillars, then I just say import pillars. I can say as P or as Wahid or whatever name I want to do it, or just as itself. So if you don't give any extension, you don't give extension when you do the pillars module, you import the class. But when you do this one, it is already running it. As you can see now, if I do a dir, notice in addition to all these other classes, I have a class called pillars. So at this time, if I want to say dir of pillars, now this pillars is just basically having a lot of double underscore method that was already there. They inherit those other ones. Part of the object-oriented inheritance. So inherit a lot of the names there, the method and packages and specific, and then P1 through P6. So if I just say, what is that? Print pillars dot double underscore spec and double underscore. So if I just do that one, you can see module specification, name of the pillars, and then so it gives you the name where it is and the directory. That is basically what that spec is doing it. So if I just print that one, which I did here, you could see that it is telling me that I have a module called pillars.py, and this is the specification for that one. But if I'm interested in the doc method, then I can say print pillars dot double underscore doc double underscore. Remember here when we did the doc method here, it says none. Print pillars dot and double underscore doc double underscore. This one will say none because basically this none is because I'm inside Jupyter Notebook. I have not saved this file as a pillars.py module, but here when we did it, the name of the file pillars.py is on the C demo, as you can see. Now notice that how cool is this one. This one is basically gonna run and then it's gonna give me the doc string. So whatever I had written in the three double underscore and then inside there, all this information, it is gonna print it out as doc string. It is really nice, isn't it? So Python is very good. And if you have a method defined, you have a doc string for the method, then whatever you have the line there, you could say method dot double underscore doc underscore doc method, and then it will do that one. Similarly, if I do here now, dir of this, notice that dir of pillars is going to give you a lot more information. So if I just say, what is P1? I'm going to say dir of pillars.p1. So this one is telling me on with P1, we have email address, first name, get email, all these methods that are defined within the instance that I did, and these ones are part of that P1. Similarly, that one is for P2. Similarly, that one is for P3. So each one of these instances have the same methods associated with it. P4 is similarly, and similarly for P5. So if I go on and then until P6, notice when I do P6,